You know, I was trying to figure out why animals are so popular in games. And I started thinking about goats. Why did the goat cross the road? Because he was clipped through the geometry on the sidewalk. And the pathfinding AI just broke. Okay, bad joke. But hear me out. Indie games and animals. What is that connection? It seems like every time a little studio drops a game where you play as a non-human creature, the internet goes absolutely wild. We're talking about games like Untitled Goose Game, where you're a menace to society, or Stray, where you're just a gorgeous little cat trying to find its way home. These games aren't just cute, they're massive successes that punch way above their weight class. But as a fellow indie developer, I look at these games and I don't just see charm. I see a mountain of technical hurdles. I see animators losing sleep over inverse kinematics for a quadrupedal walk cycle. I see designers pulling their hair out trying to balance a game where the protagonist can't talk or use their opposable thumbs. So, today, we're not just going to talk about the cuteness factor. We're going to dive into the why of animal protagonists, the cool design opportunities they unlock, and the secret developer challenges that come with making a good animal game. Stick around, because we are going to look at the geometry of a good squirrel jump and why a simple bird flap is harder to code than a triple headshot. So, why do we, the players, gravitate towards these fuzzy and feathered heroes? It comes down to a few core things that great game designers tap into. First, there's pure, unadulterated empathy. When you play a game like Endling, Extinction is Forever, where you are a mother fox trying to protect her cubs in a dying world, that story hits you on a primal level. It removes the human baggage of war, politics, or complex relationships, and boils the narrative down to survival, love, and protection. Humans naturally project emotion onto animals. It's a huge part of how we build connections, and animal protagonists leverage that immediately. Second, it allows for design simplicity and focus. When your protagonist is, let's say, a frog, their abilities are defined. They can jump high, they have a sticky tongue, and they can swim. That's a fantastic constraint. If you make a game about a human character, they can potentially do anything. And you spend a huge amount of time trying to justify why they can or can't climb a fence. But the frog? The rules are clear. And those constraints force us, as developers, to be more creative with the environment and puzzle design. Think of games like Goat Simulator, a chaotic sandbox. But at the core, it's all built around the simple, ridiculous abilities of a physics-defying goat. Third, the unconventional perspective is gold. When you play Stray as a cat, you are seeing a massive, detailed cyberpunk world from ankle height. Everything is new, everything is a puzzle to reach, and everything feels enormous. That simple change in perspective, which an animal naturally provides, instantly refreshes familiar genres, making the game feel innovative and exciting. So, for the casual player, it's about connecting to a relatable struggle. For the indie developer, it's about a clean design philosophy that provides clear, compelling gameplay hooks. We've seen a bunch of breakout hits in this space, and they all offer a little lesson in game design. Take Cult of the Lamb. It's a roguelike mixed with a colony management simulator. And the protagonist is an adorable little lamb that has to establish a demonic cult. The humor comes from the contrast between the cutesy, almost Animal Crossing aesthetic and the dark, blood-soaked action and resource management. The lamb is a symbol of innocence, making the whole demonic cult leader twist incredibly funny and memorable. Then you have the Shelter series. These games are the absolute opposite of quirky. They are serious, beautiful, and emotionally raw survival games where you play as various animals, like a badger or a lynx, navigating the dangers of the wild. This series shows that the animal protagonist isn't just for light-hearted fun. It can carry deep, meaningful, and sometimes devastating survival narratives. And, of course, Untitled Goose Game. The brilliance here isn't the goose itself, but the way the developers turned the simple act of being annoying into the core gameplay loop. Your goal is literally to be a pest. It's a game of stealth, puzzle solving, and pure chaos, driven by the unique toolset of a goose, which primarily includes a honk and a grab. This game proves that you don't need 100 complex mechanics. You just need a single, hilarious, and well-executed core concept. The lesson for us developers is this: pick your animal, understand its unique traits, and build your entire game around making those traits the central mechanics. Alright, let's pull back the curtain and talk shop. Animating and coding a convincing animal is way harder than doing the same for a bipedal human character. The biggest challenge is locomotion. Humans have a standard walk, run, and jump cycle. Most major engines like Unity or Unreal have ready-made human skeletons and animation retargeting tools that make this relatively simple. You can buy a standard human animation pack and be most of the way there. But for a quadruped, a bird, or a slug, you start from scratch. For example, a cat has an incredibly complex, undulating spine, and its walk cycle involves 4 legs moving in a specific, often diagonal pattern. The weight distribution, the shifting center of gravity, the foot placement on uneven terrain, it's all much more complex. Animating a natural, believable gait, especially for procedural generation, requires an incredible attention to detail. This is where inverse kinematics, or IK, becomes your best friend and worst enemy. Inverse kinematics is what makes sure a cat's paw actually lands flat on a step, even if the step is angled, instead of clipping right through it or floating in the air. For a character with 4 contact points, the math involved in making all 4 paws look grounded and realistic can be a huge time sink. The Stray developers reportedly spent a lot of time on this to make the cat feel weighty and tactical. If you're a developer working on a creature, be ready to spend a lot of hours on that core movement, because if the movement feels bad, the entire game falls apart. Designing gameplay around a non-human perspective forces you to reconsider the fundamentals of game design. It's really healthy exercise. For example, your interaction design changes completely. An animal character usually can't open a door by turning a knob. They have to shove, scratch, chew, or find a different path. In Untitled Goose Game, the goose's interaction are limited to honking and grabbing with its beak. The entire puzzle design has to work within those 2 simple inputs. This minimalist approach often leads to cleaner, more focused gameplay loops. Another key area is sense-based gameplay. We as humans rely on sight and sound. But what if your main character relies on scent? You could integrate a smell mechanic that visualizes odors as colored particles in the game world, guiding the player to food or danger. What if they rely on echolocation, like a bat? This opens up fascinating opportunities for a monochromatic or distorted visual. This is a great way to add a unique visual flair to your indie game. When you're designing an animal character, ask yourself, 3 questions. What is this animal's core physical limitation? This is your key constraint. What is this animal's greatest natural strength? This is your key mechanic. What does this animal want? This is your key motivation. Usually something simple like food, safety, or just to cause mischief, keeping the answer simple and honest. That's the path to a great animal game. So, from the perspective of an indie developer, the Animal Protagonist is a goldmine. It offers instant charm for players, and it offers great natural constraints for designers that force creative solutions. Sure, you might have to spend a week animating a seamless transition from a crouch to a pounce, but the payoff is a unique game that stands out in a crowded market. The success of these games, like Stray and Cult of the Lamb, proves that players are craving experiences that break the mold of the typical human hero. They want novelty, they want hurt, and they want to see the world from a completely different point of view. It's about making a memorable experience, not just making a technically perfect one. What's your favorite animal-themed indie game? Did you play Shelter, or did you embrace the chaos of the goose? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching!